The holidays are almost here and oven space is often at a premium. I'm going to show you how to get an entire Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner into one smoker. Now, if you're trying to get a second oven, a smoker is a great way to be able to do it, or your gas grill, help you get a little bit more stuff done in the same amount of time. I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. The first thing that you're going to need is a plan. I created a Gantt chart so that way I knew exactly where each thing should be on the cooker and when. That makes it a lot easier to give an update when people are hungry and wondering when dinner is. If you're going ahead of schedule or behind, you'll at least have an idea when everything will be done. The purpose of that plan is to avoid any missteps. You're only one mistake away from making it a very memorable Thanksgiving. A couple of them that I remember is when Grandma handed Grandpa the powdered sugar instead of the cornstarch. He ended up making turkey syrup instead of turkey gravy. And the second one involved a grease fire in the oven, and someone ran for the fire extinguisher. They're about ready to set the thing off, and Grandma reached in through the flames, pulled out the turkey, and saved Christmas dinner. So be careful and make sure that those aren't the memories that you keep. To prep the turkey, I dry brined it by covering it with salt and put it in the fridge overnight. This helps dry out the skin so it gets crispy. I also tossed the giblets, neck, and wingtips into a pot and kept it just under a simmer to make the gravy. This method is way easier than hoping you get enough drippings from your turkey to make it later. When it was time to cook it, I coated the outside of the bird with oil and then a healthy seasoning of pepper. I don't usually cook a turkey whole like this. Instead, I'll break it up into parts so that way it'll cook faster and each piece comes off when it's perfectly done. Then I put it on the pellet grill at 350 degrees to get just a kiss of smoke. No Thanksgiving is complete without pumpkin pie. Just be sure you start with a pie pumpkin. Fresh is way more work than canned, but you get a much better result. Removing the seeds is a big chore, which is one of the reasons why I prefer sweet potato pie, and I'll include a link to that recipe and a few others at the end. Baking the pumpkin is pretty easy. Just coat it with oil and wrap it in foil, and put it in the grill next to the turkey for about an hour until it's soft. I grew up with canned cranberry sauce, the kind with the ridges. But this recipe changed my mind about homemade. It requires caramelizing the sugar, which adds a huge depth of flavor. Fresh cranberries have natural pectin, which thicken up the sauce into what you know and love. I'll include a link to this easy recipe at the end, too. I like to add a cornucopia of colors with apples, pears, and oranges, which all get stained red by the cranberries. This recipe got the attention of some wasps, and I had to be careful where I put my hands when I was working with the camera. Green beans can be pretty sad by themselves, but everything is better with bacon. And just in case you thought this was a health food channel, this is the lean, mean grilling machine, and precisely the reason why I cook bacon outside. I prefer the results over pan-fried any day. Another tip, if you can make it in advance, make sure you do it beforehand. Those pies and the cranberry sauce can be made the day before or the morning of, and that way everything's cleared out and you're not worried about it when you're getting ready for the turkey. And in fact, the cranberry sauce actually benefits from sitting in the fridge because those flavors get to know each other a little better and it's going to taste better if you make it a day in advance anyway. Don't forget to communicate with and involve others, and don't assume that someone else is making the pie or the sides, or you might get impatient and tell them to hurry, or you won't make it to the project milestone on time. I can tell you from experience that that is a really bad idea, and you may end up with no pie at all. You have to understand that Mrs. GTE is the queen of pies. My first Thanksgiving with her family involved staying up until 1 in the morning, making sure everyone had their favorite pie and that we reached the all-important quota of a half a pie per person. With that kind of practice, I'd be a fool for trying to make it myself when I could enjoy her work of art instead. If you're using pumpkin instead of sweet potato, you're going to want to double the ginger and the cinnamon and bake it at 350 instead of 400, but everything else is the exact same. Whipping the egg whites is a bit of a chore, but it gives a lighter texture. And with that, the only thing left to do is to put it into the crust and throw it on the grill. At this point, I should have put the potatoes on to get ready for the mashed potatoes, but I forgot and ended up boiling them instead. The 350 degrees I was cooking the turkey at was too cool for the rolls, and Mrs. GT browned them in the oven when I wasn't looking. Now always have a wireless thermometer on your turkey so you don't overcook it and don't have to check it all the time, which will reduce the stress. The turkey came out awesome and was super juicy. And here's why I prefer to part out the turkey instead of cooking it whole. Most people are going to carve it up and put it on a platter before they put it on the table anyway, and it's going to look the same either way. Despite my forgetfulness, we still got everything hot and on the table at the same time, which was a win in my book. We had all of our favorites, and if you want to check out these recipes closer, take a look at my holiday playlist.